Okay, this is Tuesday, October the 14th at 6:30. This is the City of Watseka Multi-Jurisdictional Natural Hazard Mitigation Plan Yearly Maintenance Subcommittee meeting. Could I have, let's see, attendees? We had attendees do the sign-up sheet. Did you get everybody signed up already, Eric?
Yeah, I think I just met
Okay.
Chief Starkey over there, but we'll get him.
So we had attendees do a sign-up sheet with the name and the jurisdiction. I'd like to welcome everyone here to the meeting. And Eric, it's all yours.
Okay, so I want to welcome everyone. We're going to try to get through this quickly. Just to bring you guys up to speed, the city is going to join on to the county plan. The city's plan expires November the 2nd. So we're conducting this meeting tonight. It is part of the plan. It is required, and it is something that Community Rating System, CRS, looks at every year. So we don't want to lose any points because we did not conduct our meeting. So we sent everyone a flyer. So myself representing the city, Lori representing IMH and Unit 9, and Unit 9 obviously did not respond. I believe, you know, they're in the same situation. Hey, we're already jumping on the county plan meeting. So there were some questions on there, and so you go to item number 4, natural hazard related damage to critical facility reports. There was none reported. 5, mitigation action tables, projects completed or in progress. IMH responded that they're still in progress with their water conservation with their staff. And they were looking at a generator, but the building sold, and that's out of the picture. As far as the city side of that, we were awarded another acquisition demolition grant, so, you know, I put that into the report. New actions to be added to the plan. There's no new actions that were added to the plan. Significant changes in development. That would be if the city annexed new property and had new development adjoining the town. There's none of that going on. The plan effectiveness, you know, it's been effective. We've been able to use it to apply for grants, so that justifies the effectiveness. And then to review the plan's goals. You know, we've done that in the past. The goals are fine. There's no need to change the goals. So now we're down to other. If we have no other, then we can move to adjournment.
Okay.
Anybody have any questions for Eric about the mitigation plan? This is a yearly required meeting. I think we're all clear.
Okay.
All right, if there's no other comments, questions, then I ask for motion and a second for adjournment.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Eric.
All right, we're going to call the meeting for code enforcement to order. If we can get roll call, please, Kathy.
Garfield.
Here.
Mensch. DeWitt. Miller.
Here.
Peterson.
Here.
Pence.
Here.
Rolfs. Here. Bro.
Here.
Mayor.
Here.
8 present, 1 absent.
All right, is there any public comment? All right, no public comment. I'm going to turn it over to Eric for his report.
Thanks, Nick. 122 West Heron Court. So the zoning committee met. We had our hearing on Tuesday, October the 30th. And so this was for a garage addition Ben Thompson's wanting to put on his garage. And he was asking for a 0 setback. He was wanting to build right onto the property line next door to a flood mitigation property which cannot be built on ever. So he thought that was a good petition. The zoning committee voted no. They recommended that there be at least a 12-inch minimum side yard setback against that mitigation property. Ben was good with that. I consulted city attorney about that, and he says yes, as long as they're asking for less than they were originally, he could go ahead and draft the ordinance for the 12-inch minimum side yard setback. So this will be on your agenda for October council.
What's the normal setback on
So
that?
it's 10% of the lot width, and we were talking about lot width earlier today. I believe that's a 92-foot lot.
Okay.
So the minimum setback would be 9.2 feet, you know, approximately 9 feet 3 inches, somewhere in that neighborhood. He's only got, you know, he's gonna have the property line surveyed, but he's got maybe 14 and a half feet to his property line now. So for him to add on to the side of his garage, you know, he would only be able to do maybe a 5.5 foot wide garage addition. He's wanting to add an entire bay onto his garage. He's got a boat. He wants to get it inside and stored inside. And
So 12 inches would be a great gain for him and not bother the DNR lot next door.
he's comfortable with 12 inches, yes.
Okay.
That's one thing we talked about is you absolutely do not want to be building on that DNR lot. It's deed restricted, no buildings on the lot. You know, it's in the city's best interest to protect that lot, that it doesn't get built on. And then also in the neighboring property owner's interest, you know, if he goes over the line, he's gonna have problems with his title work at that point, and then the city would be unable to sell him that sliver that he would need to clean up his title. Any other questions? This will be on October's agenda, council.
12 inches is adequate?
Yeah.
Okay.
We believe so. And I believe Ben has contacted the surveyor because, you know, he had property pins found. The one in the front he can't find because it's right on top of the sewer lift station. But he was able to measure from both directions. But he's got a bad feeling. I got a bad feeling because it runs at an angle to his existing structure. So he's going to go ahead and contact the surveyor and have
That'd probably be a good idea.
that side surveyed. IDNR flood mitigation. The only reason I put this on, we applied for a reimbursement, $119,000 and some change, I believe back in May or June, and that was right before the state's fiscal year. We haven't received any monies yet, but I have been talking to Ron Davis, and he's been asking some questions, about some of the documentation. So I feel like we're getting pretty close to seeing that, and it should happen here before the end of the year. Any questions on that? So 100 West Walnut. This is the J.C. Penney building. I gave everyone these two SKS documents. So, we've hired SKS in the past. They've done an inspection, and they've made some recommendations. And I'm just gonna, it's a 6-page report, and I'm just gonna run down the recommendations real quick. So, number 1, during demolition, workers should not be on the roof unless they are wearing a harness and are attached to a fall protection system. Attached to a crane, it should not be assumed the roof deck will support the weight of the worker. Number 2, adjacent roads and alleys need to be fenced off during demolition for public safety. Once the walls have been demolished below the balcony level, they should be significantly less likely to have a sudden, unexpected collapse. The demolition contractor will need to decide when the walls have been lowered enough to reduce the width of the fenced-off area. Number 3, the bar to the west will need to be vacated during demolition until the west wall has been lowered to its final height. The wall should not be left more than 4 feet higher than the roof of the bar. Number 4, the portion of the west wall that is to remain will need to be capped to prevent rain from entering the wall from the top. And number 5, I'll skip over to number 6, and then number 5 is the reason why we're talking about this. So number 6, the west wall will need to be tuck pointed below the first floor after demolition is completed. Above the first floor, what is now an interior surface will be exposed to the weather for the first time. It is recommended that this wall be covered with metal siding or similar covering to protect it from rain. Alternatively, the plaster could be removed and the wall restored as needed by tuck pointing. And what he's talking about there is the foundation bricks. The mortar in those bricks is just like sand. It's just falling out. So for that wall to remain, that brick work, foundation work would need to be tuck pointed and stabilized. And then I'm going to bounce back to number 5, and this is why we're talking about this tonight. The roof of the bar will need to be tied into the remaining portion of the wall to provide the bracing currently provided by the second floor of 100 West Walnut. Design of this attachment is beyond the scope of this report. And so what he's talking about here, and this is a photo that I took from inside the neighboring property, their roof is not attached to the J.C. Penney wall or 100 West Walnut wall. So, you know, the concern is once they start demolition, things could get wobbly and shaky and something could fall apart. So he would like to design some sort of an attachment to that roof structure. And then the other SKS document that you have is the proposal by SKS to design that attachment for $6,111.50.
This is in the basement?
This is in the attic
Oh, this is in the attic. Okay.
of the neighboring property.
Okay.
So, you know, to proceed with demolition, we're gonna have to get past this. And then one other thing that I'm gonna mention on here, client to furnish permission to access properties. So the neighbor next door, you know, has stated that they do not want the city on or in her property anymore. So, somehow we're gonna have to get access to that attic for the engineer to actually get up there and look at that structure and design what he needs to design to stabilize that wall. Any questions?
Without getting it, well, if we have to get this done, do we have, what I'm trying to say is that, do we have to get into their roof, their attic to do it, or like we can go around about it?
So that's SKS's proposal, permission to access properties.
Okay.
That's what we would need to provide.
But we don't have any estimate on what it's gonna cost
No
to
estimate.
stabilize that wall.
So along with that, Eric and I have been talking last couple of weeks, and we come to the conclusion, the best way to handle this is to get Robinson involved, to draw up a proposal, a complete demolition proposal. So we get one company involved, put it out for bid, have Robinson draw up the parameters, put it out for bid, have one company do the major part, and have all the subs under the one company. So we don't piecemeal it out,
Yeah.
so we don't have a problem somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
That's the thing me and Eric came up with. It's probably gonna be the easiest and probably the most economical way for the city.
You mean-
Unfortunately, it's gonna hinge upon this right here. I've had talks with this owner. She's made it clear she would not like us up in her building. Eric and I talked before the meeting. I think Eric's gonna go try to talk to her one more time. After that, I don't know where that leaves us. But as far as moving forward in the demolition progress, I think that Eric and I both agree going forward, getting Robinson involved and to get a complete demolition package wrote up. And Terry, I think you and I talked at the last meeting, putting it out for a bid statewide, maybe we can get a larger pool involved. You know, from maybe up north, some more of the ones that would tackle more high profile or more, shall we say, difficult type demolitions.
Do we know what's the reason why that the owner was very, like, resistant for us to get into his roof?
I do not.
But if we can't get into her roof and we can't
Yeah.
decide this, then it's not gonna come down.
Yeah,
Well, Robinson will have to get into it also. If Robinson can't get into it, then,
We're basically back to square one.
and if she does not cooperate,
I mean, that's like saying, here, I want you to give me an estimate to fix my car, but I'm not letting you look under the hood before. I mean,
Yeah.
You gotta know what we're.
she won't be happy if the west wall comes down and there's no wall for her left. That's all I got to say about it. She needs to work with us on this, or it's gonna not turn out well.
Right.
I'll
I
try
agree with
talking to her
Robinson
again.
is-
I mean, it's in her best interest to let us get the building down safely.
Yeah.
I agree, Mark, with the Robinson, using them as a general on it, right?
What's that?
Use Robinson as the general
Use
engineering group.
And write up the FRP on it.
Okay.
So who has talked with the owner, about,
Mark has.
okay,
I
and
did.
who else?
It was just me so far.
Did Eric talk to her?
Yeah, I've talked to her in the past, but not since we've started on,
Okay.
It was what, 2 weeks ago, Eric?
when I took the pictures for the original
No, when I went and
SKS
talked to her.
engineering, which
I talked to her.
that's dated July 8th, 2024, she let me in the attic then.
Right.
So-
Can you talk to her again? Or,
Not lately, no.
So there's no firewall, correct? I mean, we're talking the building wall of our building.
Correct.
Right.
There's not a second wall.
No.
There is no second wall. That J.C. Penney 100 West Walnut wall, and
So we could take the whole
we-
thing
the,
down
the,
and she'd
the,
have
the
to
property
figure-
was surveyed when we bought the building, and that wall is 100% on the city property. 100%.
So we're saying it's not a shared wall.
There's no party wall agreements. There is one party wall agreement from the 1920s, and it pertains to 20 feet on the north end and the upper floor. So there is no upper floor of the neighboring building, so that party wall agreement that does exist has no bearing. Outside of that, we've got a title policy. There are no other party wall agreements.
In the 20s, there was a second floor,
Oh, yeah.
but then the
Yeah,
second
they had a
floor,
party wall agreement. They agreed for
Used
a
to be a
certain amount of
two-story
money
building.
to allow them to cut holes into the J.C. Penney wall to support joists and whatever they needed to do.
okay. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah, so, I guess I'll talk to her. I mean, I need council approval for the SKS. So,
I'll make a motion, move forward with the engineer.
I'll second that.
Well, wouldn't this be part of your total engineer?
We still have to move forward to get the engineer involved before we can even go to Robinson.
Would Robinson do this?
Robinson would need that before we
Yeah,
can go to
but-
Robinson.
Robinson might have another company that they want to use. If you're gonna make Robinson the general, I think it's Robinson's choice to
True.
get to that point. If you're gonna use a general,
I wish we had Robinson here to talk to him tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one night he's not
we
here.
better table it till we figure out who, if we're gonna have a general,
Will
and
he-
if we're
will
gonna
he be
have.
here full council?
Keith,
Yeah.
he normally is.
Can we make sure he's
I
here?
mean, I can contact
He-
him.
He could be here next week too, probably.
Yeah.
A lot of times with
Yeah, I
Lauren.
can,
he's-
I can contact him
can we
tomorrow
see-
and
can we
Do they-
get him
see
here
what
for
he
next
says
week?
about it. I'll give him a copy
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
SKS proposal and see if he's comfortable using that.
Yeah.
Do they have structural engineers in-house, or are they just all civil?
Okay.
They do have structural engineers in-house.
Not so sure about that.
Okay.
They're civil
I'm
engineers.
sure they have somebody they work with.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if he can be here next week and we get some questions answered before full council, I'd,
Oh.
Yeah.
I agree. Let Robinson be the head on it and go from there and see what they say after that.
But I think we also should figure out if we have no part of that, if that wall belongs to us, then why do we have to protect that wall other than we have to protect the building from coming down.
I think the main reason, as Eric and I were talking, if that wall comes down, if it takes Mary's wall with it,
Well, that,
She don't have a wall.
that we know of,
She does not have a wall.
that we know of.
We
well,
got,
that's what needs to be discussed and figured out. So whether that wall has to be maintained or whether she's got a wall to take care of her own.
let's let Robinson figure it out then.
So there's not two walls. You would take ours down and she'll have an open
Not two
space.
walls.
That's kind of what he's
Yeah.
referring to.
That's correct.
So,
Nice during the summer, but
Okay,
All right, let's table this then?
yeah, it's tabled for now.
with the understanding that Robin's gonna take the lead.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. 522 East Elm. So this is the Berry's processing property, and they're wanting to rezone that from R4 to M1 manufacturing. And this is to facilitate a possible sale of Berry's processing so they could continue to use that as it is being used now. So we met on Monday, October the 6th, and they came in with an amended proposal. So they weren't wanting to rezone the entire property. They were wanting to separate out the house and the rear of the property and only rezone the buildings where the processing is occurring. The zoning committee, they were okay with that. You know, they voted to recommend to go ahead and rezone it. When I checked with city attorney the next day about this, no, we do not do mixed zoning, that they would need to subdivide. So I went back to their attorney same day, and you know, if they do the entire parcel to M1, they could do that with their petition as is. The house in the front is residential, but residential is allowed in the M1 zoning designation, and then they could subdivide at a later date, maybe possibly when they do the sale, or however they work that. I have not heard back from the attorney. I'll reach out again. You know, right now, you're not gonna have anything for council, you know, unless they desire to rezone the entire parcel.
Eric, would the M1 also include the large garage/storage pen behind the processing facility?
They did not want to include that. I believe that was part of is it a storage building that they wanted to separate? They wanted to separate the house and the property behind Berry's processing.
Yeah. That's where they have a holding pen for their cattle sometimes.
Well, if that's part of the processing, then I would think that they would want to keep it with the processing plant. But again, you know, it's going to take a subdivision before we can say, hey, this parcel is going to be M1 and this parcel is going to be residential.
In your zoning hearing, did any of the neighbors say anything about M1?
Not a word.
Okay.
So what kind of action do we take tonight?
We can take no action tonight. It's the ball's in their court.
Okay.
You know, do they want to rezone the entire parcel, or are they going to come back, you know, after it's subdivided?
Okay.
And then straighten out the zoning at that point. So. Final one, 118 West Walnut, and Ken may want to jump in here. I believe NICOR started this. There was a gas leak in the building. I believe they noticed it on the meter. With the smart meters they had today, they called Ken and fire department in there, and Ken consequently called me. So the building is in really, really tough shape. It's been leaking water into the building for quite a while. There was some collapsed structure in the back. It may have just only been a loft, but it was pretty ugly. But then on the alley side also, you know, it's very poor condition. There's trees growing out of the bricks. There's an arch over the doorway, a brick arch over the doorway, and that's crumbling. So I was able to contact the owner, and they didn't realize that the building was in that bad a shape. They hadn't been in there a while. They consequently contacted a demolition contractor, and they have stated that they're gonna take that building down.
Okay.
I don't know, Ken, if you wanna add anything?
No, that's about it. It had been taking rain on for quite a while. We didn't realize it was so bad either. Once we got in, there was a partial collapse on the loft area like Eric was talking. And then further inspection, you could see where the floor joisting within the basement itself had given also, because you could, where the walls were at, there was a separation from the actual floor and then the stud walls. So it's complete failure from
And
the
that may
ceiling
have
to the
been what caused the gas leak. It was inside the
Yep.
building and not outside.
You say it has a basement through the whole building or just partial?
Just partial. We tried to make it two. We couldn't. Unfortunately, the area that we'd have to go through was the area that had the collapse issue. So we tried to cut the power off from inside because there was still power to the building. The breaker panel actually was rusted itself. The breakers were. So we were fortunate there was no fire there. Airmen disconnected the power from the main to the building. So everything's isolated at this point. So there shouldn't be any third-party hazards.
So no power, no gas, no electricity. Okay.
Correct. Yep. And water.
And just for reference, this is the building that's connected on the east side of Pellegrini's,
Yeah.
right next door to Pellegrini's on the east side.
It's the old
Just for reference.
scrapbooking building.
Yes.
And you say there is two walls. The new Pellegrini buildings has its own wall?
Yes. So there is actually airspace between Pellegrini's and this building. Talking to the demo contractor, I said, have you looked at the other side? And he says, yes, it's a separate wall.
That's a good thing.
So Pellegrini's is gonna have space on both sides.
Yep.
Yeah.
Two parks.
Did the property owner give an estimate on demolition time?
No.
Have we tagged it condemned?
I would think that, yes, I would think that Nicor is gonna have to get that meter out of there first.
Yeah, they're very efficient. How fast can Nicor get that pulled, do we know?
Depends on their schedule.
Okay.
All right.
That's all I have.
Eric, just a question. We talked a couple weeks ago, and I went by it this morning. The brush on that 4th Street, 4th and Adams, or whatever. Any update on that? It doesn't look
Yeah,
like
thanks, Jeff, for bringing that up. So he was in, paying his water bill this morning. I explained the problem to him. I says, you know, if the city cuts it, it's gonna be ugly. He's aware of it. Seemed very responsive. Let's see what he can do.
Okay, I was just curious.
What I don't understand is I've knocked on his door several times. I'm pretty positive he's always there and never comes to the door. I sent him a notice, registered mail. He didn't pick it up. It came back. So,
But
Okay.
you did talk to him today.
yes.
Okay.
How's the chickens? Did we eliminate that problem?
Which chicken?
Any of them?
I think Charlie probably has a lot to say about
Yeah,
that.
the one over by you, they did clean that up. That was the one that had one hijacked and then returned, and it was a big mess. But, you know, I was there one week. Fortunately, the next door neighbor had a roof permit, and I went over there, and chickens were still there. She was fined, the owner was fined $250, didn't show up here at municipal court. They called me the next week, said the chickens are gone. I said, I got to come and verify. Sure enough, they're gone. So I told them to come back to municipal court here in October, and I would verify that those chickens were gone. Just became aware of another flock today. So,
Okay. But we're moving forward with those, correct?
absolutely.
All right.
Anything else? Okay, move for adjournment.
Need a motion for adjournment.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
All in favor, aye.
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 All right.
All right, now we'll call to order the public safety meeting for October 14th. Roll call, please.
Bro,
Here.
Rolfs.
Here.
Pence.
Here.
Peterson.
Present.
Miller.
Here.
DeWitt, Mensch,
Here.
Garfield,
Here.
Mayor.
Here.
8 present, 1 absent.
Any public comment? Seeing none, we will move on to Eric with ICOM.
So with me tonight is,
Check the microphone, please, Eric.
are we working? Yep.
Thank you.
All right, can you all
Okay.
hear me?
Yep.
All right, so with me this evening, I have Chairman of the Emergency Telephone System Board, or the 911 Board. He is one of my many bosses. Unfortunately, I do not have a county representative. Vice Chair Watts was definitely under the weather when he was at the county board meeting, so this is not a surprising event. So I could talk through most of this without any issues or challenges, so we'll get started. I will cover the budget information as we get through it, which is all of what I passed out to all of you in due course. So a little bit of history. How did Iroquois County 911 kind of get to where it's at today? So we're going 25-ish years back when what we call the wall came down. So at one time, Watseka had its own dispatch center to handle fire, police matters, and then Iroquois County had its dispatch center. So it's where it is physically today in the administration building, and literally Watseka had one side, the county had its other, and then the wall came down. That's when there was the combination of resources, City of Watseka and ICOM came to what it is, which is what we call the budget now, Joint Dispatch. A lot of financial sense that came along with that. Obviously, the city is not supporting its own dispatch center, its own equipment, phone lines, etc. You're utilizing staff to benefit the entirety of the county. There's obviously less equipment needs. So the city of Watseka is not having its own set of dispatch center and its own equipment, and Iroquois County was doing the same. So by combining, you saved yourselves a lot of money and not necessarily headaches, but definitely some money. So what I'm going to talk to first is the ETSB budget, which is 720 911 Emergency Service Board. So incidentally, 10/7 was their meeting, which was this past Tuesday. They have voted to approve their budget, so what you see in this is what's approved by the ETS board. I will touch on the joint dispatch, which is on the other side of this. The Iroquois County Board has voted to move forward with their budget, and this will be posted for public consumption. There is a comment period that's required for it for the Iroquois County budget. The ETS budget is along in there. So all of this information that I'm presenting to you today is what was approved at the county board meeting this morning at 9 a.m. So ETSB, how do they get their money? So anybody that looks at their cell phone bill, you see a $1.50 911 service charge on there, or surcharge. That is how the ETS board gets its money. The ETS board is specifically meant for the equipment. So all the toys to make 911 work, for lack of better words, and function. There is obviously a little bit of interest in there, so by housing our banking account into an interest-bearing account, we get a little bit of money as a return to save us. There are other investment options out there. A lot of them tend to be CDs. We're investigating that to try and generate a little bit more cash, but interest rates are still volatile. They might be good for a time being, but we'll see where that all leads. After that, then we start talking expenses. Staff salary. My salary is under this. I am not part of an Iroquois County board. I report directly to the Emergency Telephone System Board, which is appointed by the Iroquois County Board Chairman. This year, we have approved for a 911 coordinator, which is going to be somebody to be an assistant for me. Chief Byer can be one of many examples to say, I need some help. There's a lot. I'm pretty thinly stretched. So to have that person in there is going to be a great asset and value to not just me, but also the function of 911. Then we're going to start talking benefits, federal income tax, IMRF, and unemployment, health insurance, liability insurance, office expenses, mileage, travel, training expenses, maintenance and repair, purchase of equipment, and ultimately the big number, the $222,366.80, is a transfer to joint dispatch. That is, you can see, almost half of the dollars that comes in from 911 surcharge going right back out the door to help with the salaries of the telecommunicators. That is important because when we flip it over, and before I do that, any questions about the Emergency Telephone System Board budget? Okay. Now we get into the joint dispatch budget. This is the salary and benefits of the telecommunicators. There is not really any frills in this budget, purposefully done. When I get down to it and we start talking about training and education, I try and utilize as much as I can of the free variety. We're lucky there. There's plenty of it for making sure that telecommunicators are trained. Their continuing education for their licenses is made available to them, and they can continue to function as the dispatchers that this community expects. So I'm going to start with some of the challenges that we have today. The telecommunicator FOP labor union is currently up for negotiations. So what does that really mean? Is this budget is as good as we can get it until that negotiation is complete with the Iroquois County Board. The biggest challenge there is what is everybody going to get paid? What are their step and wage increases annually as well as on the fiscal year? Unfortunately, my crystal ball is pretty hazy, as well as the rest of the county board. So until that discussion happens, we'll figure that out in due time. There's 3 labor unions that the county board is working with, deputies, corporals, sergeants, lieutenants, as well as the corrections. They're working through those at present, trying to get those wrapped up. Generally, what you will see is what the wages are for those other 2 labor unions generally will fall the same into the telecommunicators labor union. It's not a guarantee, but that's generally what we see. Again, we'll figure that out in due course. So what I have done in this budget is allowed for what is currently in their contract, which is roughly a 3% increase. What it's going to land at, we will find out. So this budget could potentially be short, and I expect it will be. And I will cover some of the lanes of what's going to happen here shortly. So their contract expires November the 30th, which is the end of the county's fiscal year. The county runs a 12/1 to 11/30 fiscal year, so roughly about 6 months difference in our budget years from begin to begin. Obviously, we're hanging out here in mid-October. We haven't even began the discussions with the telecommunicators yet. So I'm well expecting that we're going to go past that 11/30 mark without having a completed contract. What's going to happen? Their wages are going to be frozen at what they are today. We're going to have to pay them back pay, and once the contract is agreed upon. So whatever wage increases are going to happen at the fiscal year on 12/1, and then as they hit their personal individual anniversaries, we will begin accruing that back pay. That's going to come out once the labor union agreement is taken care of, and that chunk of money is going to have to come out all at one time. That contract is a 3-year contract, so it'll be for fiscal years 26, 27, and 28. Additional in the expenses for the telecommunicators, obviously it's their salaries. FICA, IMRF, workers' comp, unemployment, health insurance, liability insurance. Education and training, there is a little bit of that in there, as well as mileage and travel. So if I do have to send them somewhere for something, we've got a little bit of a budget inside of that. Now our income sources. So we have a police, fire and EMS, which you can see transfer from fire departments, volunteer ambulance. Riverside Hospital is its own separate line item, and transfer from our police departments. You can see the individual numbers that are listed out there. This year, for our fire and our EMS, we are jumping them by 10%. Part of that is because the crystal ball is not broken. We do not know, or is broken. We do not know exactly how much negotiations is going to go into it. We have begun discussions with some of the fire departments to get them to understand this is where we're at. We're trying to make amends and have conversations so we don't have the sticker shock that we did for the city of Watseka, which was not the goal. Unfortunately, a little bit of my own personal challenges. I had some medical issues that kind of kicked off at the beginning of July on me, as well as previous to that, some staffing issues, which required me to work in the 911 dispatch center as a telecommunicator. Did not help with having conversations such as this. So unfortunately, my apologies in advance. This conversation was planned to be had a lot sooner, and it just did not happen. So the fire department's getting, and our EMS departments are getting a 10% jump. The reason for this is in years past, we've not had any conversations with them as well. The Emergency Telephone System Board has been encouraging the Iroquois County Board to have these conversations with the fire departments so they can understand the jumps and the necessity of what the joint dispatch budget is, which is a very similar conversation that I'm having with you this evening. What is fiscal years 27 and 28 going to look like? We will find that out, and once we get the telecommunicator budget taken care of, at least as far as their negotiated contract, we will then be able to know exactly what 27 and 28 is going to cost us, and as well be able to pass this along to the city of Watseka so you can plan accordingly for your budgets well in advance. Riverside is typically a 3-year contract. It is negotiated along with the telecommunicators contract. They jumped 10% to $43,740.40, which you will see in the budget as it is today. Riverside at this time has not seen this number until today. I believe that meeting actually occurred with Chairman Ducat along with Kevin Hack, who's in charge of Riverside EMS. Where that conversation led, I do not know. I was not involved with it. But the expectation is there will be, most likely my suggestion was do a 1-year agreement, and then let's see what happens in negotiations at the end of the day, because as you can hear, this is all hinging on negotiations. Where's their salary going to lead? From there, I have some good news. Originally, when we were projecting the 222,000 number, that was my original number that I had for the city of Watseka as well as Iroquois County. Reason for that is I've been getting into a little bit of a management nugget in the middle kind of clash. The public safety tax money has been used quite a bit to assist in the alleviation of the salaries to offset City of Watseka as well as Iroquois County responsibility. So this year, I did not request anything to come from from that particular budget item, knowing that there was a lot of other expenses that was going to go in there, for better or for worse. The Finance Committee has saw fit to reduce the transfer from general fund, which is the Iroquois County side of it, to $135,000, and then they were taking money from public safety tax to supplement. And the best news part of the city of Watseka, originally you can see your 2025 budget was $162,397.90. It is $162,500. So there is additional funds coming from public safety tax that is offsetting the city of Watseka's responsibility as well. Now, there are some challenges that I've got into with the city, or not the city, but with the Iroquois County and the using of the public safety tax funds. There are members of the Iroquois County Board that feel that that fund should be used for capital expenses and not for salaries. There's not a guarantee that that money is going to be there forever. There could be an easy referendum to take that money away. Right now, it's at 0.25%, 0.25%. That's based on sales tax. It can be jumped to 0.5% without public voting needs. If it's going to change in any other way, then it will have to go to some type of vote. Questions so far?
That was established for this, the public safety tax, correct?
As long as it is in the name of public safety. It's not necessarily just for 911 services. It can be used for the sheriff's office, fire departments, emergency management. So if it is in the name of public safety, then funds from that budget can be requested.
I noticed there's quite a difference in money coming from the public safety tax from 24 to 26 budget. There's a huge difference, a lot less money coming from public safety tax from 2024 to your projected 2026 budget.
We
That's
had
a pretty big change.
So there is some explanation with that. So the Emergency Telephone System Board had a relatively large expense that was coming at us. We had new radio system coming at us. We also had a new recorder that was coming at us that needed to be upgraded. So rather than the transferring of funds from Iroquois County to the Emergency Telephone System Board, for the Emergency Telephone System Board then to transfer Benny back to the Joint Dispatch, from an accounting principle, it was a lot easier. Let's just offset on the Joint Dispatch budget and move it around from there. So that's why you're seeing such a large offset in there. So there was additional funds that was requested because the ETSB was having a need as well.
This new contract you're going to have with Riverside, did you say that was a one-year contract?
I suggested a one-year contract to Chairman Ducat for this year until negotiations are complete. I think it's unfair for Riverside to potentially get a larger than necessary increase, but I also didn't want to see the county shorting themselves, and now because it's in a contract, this is where they were going to be stuck at, or trying to make an amendment to the contract, and that's where the lawyers start making money anyways. One final thing that I do want to make sure that I mention. Staffing, trying to gather the right individual to be a telecommunicator has been exceedingly challenging. Even to simply get people to show up for an interview has been, to be frank, god-awful. I will usually try and schedule between 10 to 15 people. Half don't show, just for the interview. That is a daunting task as a hiring manager to try and work through that, because now I've blocked off my schedule for people that probably deserved a job that I probably didn't call. To really talk to it, and the unfortunate part of being challenged when hiring is trying to get a body in the door that's going to be successful at the job. We have not found a lot of success, so there's been a lot of overtime needs that have been required on the telecommunicator staff. Right now, we run with a total of 9 total telecommunicators to be called fully staffed. There's some challenges in that. Number one, obviously, if we're missing one, now 4 days a week, I'm authorizing 7 hours of overtime. That's just for one person that's no longer in the schedule. Then we still have our normal things to cover. Vacation time, comp, sick time, God forbid. Or the worst part, somebody else leaves before I get that next person in there. And I had that specific example happen to me this past March. It made me have to just jump on and fill in a telecommunicators spot. There was nothing to it because we still can't. There's no way that as a manager I can feasibly, in my mindset, go in there and just knock off everybody's vacation time no matter what they have. Sorry, have a nice life. Now you gotta come to work. There's no way that's gonna happen. And still expect them to show up to work every day.
Ken, did you have a comment? Did you want to make any comments, or Chief Starkey?
Eric, I just had one question for you. We're talking about, so we do see the transfer of public safety, how there's been such a decrease in what you're receiving now. And I understand that probably shouldn't, that should be for capital, not for salaries, so that makes sense. But you said that they're getting ready to file for demand to bargain for a new contract coming up, is that correct?
The contract expiration is at the end of November, so 11/30. So it's upon them.
Okay, so they have not entered, so their current contract's getting ready to end in November, you're saying? Okay, so are some of these increases besides the transfer from public safety, is that where some of these increases are coming from? Is in anticipation of increases to salaries?
Unfortunately, no. So there is a 3% that's already built in there, and that is based on what the current contract language is. We know they're gonna ask for more. Where that is gonna land, we're gonna find out once the negotiation itself is complete. So feasibly speaking, we really cannot sit there and budget for 7, 8, 9% and then sit at the negotiating table and say 5. Well, you already have it in your budget that's approved at 9%. You can't tell me you wouldn't fight tooth and nail for every percentage point that's already sitting in an approved budget.
So you do have 3%, he's got 3%.
So you're saying that they get 3% whether they have a contract or not?
No. Right now, their wages, so 12/1, if there is no negotiated contract complete signed, their wages as they are today will be that on 12/1 and will remain that until they have a signed, completed contract.
Negotiated contract, yep.
Correct.
Okay.
But you budgeted 3%.
Budgeted 3% already.
We've budgeted for 3%.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
what I was referring to.
So to get to the last and final point, obviously with the overtime needs, difficulties trying to staff the 911 center, we're going to have overages and I'm going to exceed the budget. There's nothing that I can do to change that. Iroquois County has covered it in years past and has not gone back to the city of Watseka, the ETSB, or anywhere else, nor are they even talking about it to date. But they do not go back and ask for more money. So if it's $100,000 over, they've simply found the money any way they can and covered it, at least from the accounting principles.
I'm new at this, but do we have representation from the city on their board?
We do.
Is it Harris, right?
Lieutenant Harris
Mark,
is-
Mark Harris is on the Emergency
Harris.
Telephone System Board, not on an Iroquois County board. And
Yes.
the appropriate distinction here is the difference in the money and the funding. The Emergency Telephone System Board can make recommendations to the Iroquois County Board and vice versa, but the ETSB cannot make demands of the Iroquois County Board, nor force their hand. The Iroquois County Board, at the end of the day, I am the department head that submits this budget and the dollars and cents that are on here. They can go in and change anything that I've put in there, as you are seeing today. And then I am expected to manage to the best of my abilities.
Iroquois County Board. I mean, that's,
yeah, yes.
and if we're half of this, we should have some say into it.
We're a third of it.
A third of
We're
it.
1/3.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions for Eric Raymond?
How much did we pay in 2023?
I'm afraid I don't have that number immediately in front of me. It was right around this, I think it was 120,000. That was kind of like at the tail end of COVID and trying to get through the
I
recovery.
think it was 120.
120?
Yeah. Chief Starkey, you got anything for him? Okay, anybody else?
Many of the members of this council already have my contact information. My office is just at the administrative building. I am more than happy to speak with anybody if there's any questions outside of this evening.
Okay,
Thank you so much for your time.
thanks, Eric.
Thank you, Eric.
All right, next we'll move on to Chief Byer and the Fire Department report.
Thanks,
Good
Dave.
evening, council. I'm sorry.
Sir, go ahead.
You guys good? All right. Calls for service in September. We had, we responded to 8 fires, 5 lift assists. We went to 34 ambulance calls. We had 4 motor vehicle accidents. 1 automatic alarm, which is good. Those that went down, we've been working on those quite a bit with who has automatic alarms in town, so we're getting that corrected. And then for other, we had 17. It was a busier month. It's been busy, so training for September. We did company operation 1410 drills, which basically just consists of, we do a driving scenario, an officer scenario, a firefighter scenario, and you got to coordinate those and operate it all at the same time. So same as you would on the fire ground. We did some windmill training. Kind of got educated on those a little bit and what's going on and what could possibly be going on in the area. Another thing we dealt with, because of obviously September getting into harvest, we went and did combine operations with Cornhead. We went out to AHW and kind of went through it and seen the moving parts and if a human was to get caught in it or an object caught in it, what we could do to hopefully free it. And then we did finish up the month with multiple company operations at the training cans. Is there any questions with that? No? Personnel, Lieutenant Sandino, he finished a 40-hour certification for water operations, so we have another water operations individual in the department now, which is good. Equipment, we had all of our SCBAs, they had their annual flow tests, so we're good now for 364 more days since then. That's an OSHA requirement also. And miscellaneous, obviously the month of October is Fire Prevention Month. I used to call it Fire Prevention Week. Now it has moved to what we consider Fire Prevention Month. This month will be, obviously we'll be going to all the schools, daycare, stuff like that, and teaching the children about fire safety. That's our main goal, obviously. And then we also work with the factories in town or any other place of employment that might need help with, if they need to do fire drills for their own or also fire extinguisher training, we help them with that. And let alone just we go through and we'll do basically a safety inspection on the fire side with them to help them out. Maybe there's a few things they're missing or maybe give them some ideas. So that month we hit pretty hard. One thing I didn't put on here, I apologize. It didn't, after I submitted this, it came up. So we had, it went to council several months back to surplus the vehicle that's out there in the impound lot, the old heavy rescue that we have. And it went through and got an ordinance made and it was passed. We put it out for bid, didn't get a single taker. We put it out just out to the open, heard nothing back from anybody. I finally got contacted by an individual that's wanting to know if it was still for sale. And I said the last I knew it was. And of course this went through the city attorney and everything, and ordinance was made to surplus the vehicle and to sell it as needed. There was no price set to it because it has scrap value, unfortunately. I know that sounds a shame, but that's the way it is. But we did have an individual that was willing to offer us $2,500 for it. They would come get it. Obviously, they'd have to tow it, do whatever they need to do. But at that point, that's about all we're going to get out of the scrap side of it, which is where we're at. So if everybody's kind of okay with that number, I'll reach back out to that individual, and I can move forward with it. Or we can hold on to it.
Did you ever reach out to River Valley or Acme to see what they wanted?
I did. They never got back with me. I talked to a person at the front desk, and I told them about how much it weighed, and they gave me that price. And that's about where we're at with it. We all know it's worth more than that, but unfortunately, finding the person that's going to give you what you think is worth, that's a different story.
Kick it down the road.
What's that?
Kick it down the road, get it out of the impound.
So
It's just becoming a planner out there.
it will. The longer it sits, the more it'll deteriorate and become worth even less.
Yeah, I mean, the mice are running in it, chewing on wires. Get it out of there.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
So yeah, we have an individual that's willing to take it off our hands, give us $2,500 for it, and if council's okay with that, I will move forward with that.
So you have the equipment to tow it out of there?
Yeah, it's a farmer from, I believe, the Iroquois Donovan area. So he's got plans for it, he said. So we'll see what happens.
Can we just do opinion to get rid of it, or we got to put it on agenda for next week?
There was already an ordinance made.
It's
to-
already been ordinance,
Yeah.
it's already been surplus.
I'd say get rid of it.
Okay,
So I'd say consensus is, go ahead.
okay, all right. Council, that's all I have. Any questions?
I saw you guys were doing flow testing day. Everything go okay?
Yeah, I think we only had like two pieces of hose that didn't pass, so we're doing good. That's actually a good day. So it's a busy day. It's a full day of that.
Thanks, Kenny.
So you had your CRS, your CRS was that last week?
Oh, OSHA, or excuse
Oh,
me.
your OSHA.
ISO.
Yeah,
Apologize.
ISO.
So many different acronyms.
One of those, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I apologize. They came through, gave us a laundry list of things. I don't want to speak ahead of ourselves, but I'm excited because a lot of the things they're asking for, we should be able to provide to them. A lot of the stuff that we worked on that I didn't realize was such a good thing was the community risk reduction is a very big topic right now within insurance companies, the fire service side. We weren't doing any of that prior to this. We thought we were, but we really weren't. So that was a big portion that we implemented. And a lot of that is the smoke detectors. As you know, we've put up over $10,000 worth of smoke detectors to the residents in town, right at 500 detectors total. So that's been a good program. They're happy to see that. The building inspections that we do, the fire inspections, where I follow behind even Eric, when we do an occupancy. These were all things that they were very excited about seeing. The pre-plans that we do and the business contact info that we're trying to get, stuff like that, these were all things that they were looking for. So over the next 2 weeks, we're compiling everything and we're gonna get it to them. It could take 6 to 8 months to hear back from them. They said that if for some reason things come back and we don't like exactly where they're at, we can contest it and we can move forward from there. And some of it could be as little as maybe some of the training that we had to provide to them. They're looking at it in a different form. We might have it, we just might have gave it to them in the wrong form. So we're gonna send everything off to them. When they send stuff back that maybe they didn't agree with, then we'll rebuttal it. But the idea is to at least get it to a 3. I mean, the ultimate goal to get it to a 2, which is very, very impressive. Not holding my breath on that, but it is a goal. And if we don't get it this time, at least next time around, a 2 is something that's possibly achievable. One thing I did realize also was the fact that some of the programs we started, we may not get full credit for them because we haven't been doing them long enough. They like to look at stuff at have you been doing it for 4 years or longer? So some of the programs, we only started about 3 years ago as we moved along. So we'll see what happens. It's a learning process, and if nothing else, we should not regress. I see us at least dropping to a 3, so we'll see what happens.
And that means it's gonna be better insurance ratings for for Watseka citizens, correct?
Citizens and business owners, yep,
Insurance ratings.
yep. So
Okay.
I was hoping when we do get to that point, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but we do get to that point, I was going to have a public speaker or someone come and speak on the insurance side and kind of give a breakdown of how the ISO helps the citizens and the businesses. So that's all I have, Council.
No other questions?
Nope.
All right, I was told Police and Fire Commission has nothing, correct? No report. Okay, and next we'll move on to Chief Stark.
Good evening. I'll keep this short and sweet. Calls for service for the month, 401 total calls. Pretty consistent with how the last 6 months have gone. Traffic stops, 52. Have not received a bill from the county yet for bookings for the month. Ordered the new squad that we talked about last month. Estimated deliveries probably early 2026 at this point. With the disbanding of the auxiliary, the plan is to trade the auxiliary squad in along with Car 1 towards the purchase of that vehicle. Should knock off a pretty good chunk of change of that new squad, trading both of those in. Miscellaneous-wise, just a couple things, training or drill-wise, we've been in the schools the last couple weeks doing their intruder drills that are required by the state. Those all went very well. And then Chief Byron and myself have talked. We've got a tentative date set for sometime in December to do some critical incident training between the fire department and the police department at the high school. Just that way we're all kind of on the same page. We've talked about it for the last few months, and it's just really more of just finding a time where the school's empty and we kind of get a plan in place. So it's really about all I've got. If you don't have any questions, the plan was to talk a little bit about the tasers tonight. I know this meeting's kind of gone a little bit long, but Kurt wouldn't mind. Just he's been trained on it, so he'll talk about it real quick if you guys don't mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great, thanks.
For a while, I got certified, so I can instruct everybody. And on our police department, I can certify them on using it. It's a little different than the old taser, where the old taser had 2 prongs, and you pulled the trigger once, and you had 1 shot. This one, this is a training magazine. It doesn't shoot. But
Wow.
there's 10 taser prongs in it. So we have the option to shoot 10 darts, which will let us tase up to 3 subjects if need be. Along with that, we got, for our training, we got a virtual reality headset and a tablet and a training taser. So the guys can actually certify and recertify using the VR instead of shooting several darts. It's got a basic, like I said, it's missing the old taser had the arc, which would put the electricity out in the front. This one doesn't have it. It has a warning along with the light. So with the 10 darts, there's no more positive and neutral. It's or positive and negative. It's a neutral dart. There's an algorithm in the taser that when it hits 2 connections with CN, it automatically send that electrical impulse. I think the plan was to do a demonstration. Yeah, we try to get Juarez to volunteer for a demonstration, but
I thought that's why you guys came.
I thought you were
Come
gonna
on.
be the guinea pigs, right?
have a target that you guys have all shot as part of their certification, and we have a Velcro suit that they can put on. We have a red training mag. We have a blue one which goes for the suit, so that shoots darts that have Velcro on the end of it. And then we have a purple. We have several purple ones that the guys shoot live ammo at the target with, and it all gets logged as training. And then our duty one is a black magazine with live ammo. So they get the VR, they get several repetitions.
Everybody's been trained and you're using them, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Do you guys have to be certified every so often, every year, or whenever you want, or whenever you feel like you need to, right? I'm sure you guys can do it internally, whenever you want.
With the VR, when the guys are working,
Yeah.
if they get a minute, they can put the headset on and they can go through. There's live, well, there's a couple different things. They can do the training thing, and then there's a, what do you want to call it? Scenario-based training. We also got a virtual gun. But the scenario-based training, it kind of gives them a call, puts them in a situation, and they pick their use of force, whether it's no force, taser, gun. And then end of this month, I gotta actually call a guy back with taser because the virtual headset we're working on making that character would be able to communicate with it. So you'll be able to give him commands and he can talk back to you.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Good old AI.
So, one thing that really, I guess impressed me or surprised me is we had to have internet connected to their charging bank that's back in the back room there. They had to have internet connected to it because the batteries are so intelligent and the tasers are so intelligent that they had to communicate through the internet to even charge properly.
Each one of these tasers is registered to each officer, and I'm able to do
Another thing a difference that really impressed me is, I think, Chief Stark, you told me this, is that as soon as you guys pull it out of the holster, whether you do anything with it or not, that registers when you take that and plug that battery back in. That registered to that, whoever did that pulled it out of the holster and it registered time, and they actually,
So it'll measure, where the, so it'll record when the taser's out and where the taser is in space, so the angle that it's at. So whether it's down or if you point it at somebody. So if we ever have an issue with, say, use of force, if somebody makes a complaint, the body cam turn on, or something happened with the body cam, we'll be able to know where that officer, when he pulled it, what he did with it, whether he gave a warning alert, and where he had it.
legally, I think that's awesome. Legally, just another thing besides the body cams that do, to help you guys out.
And while we're under the contract with Taser, if there's use of force, they will take care of that. As long as the officer
Follow the protocol, yeah. Cool.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
So we do have a target that if anybody wants to shoot one of the tasers, you're more than welcome to try it when we're done here, so.
I volunteer, Mark. Mark will be the target.
I was gonna nominate Charlie since he's not here.
So, unless anybody has any questions, that's all I've got.
I think we're all clear.
Seeing nothing else, no other inquiries, anything else?
Nope.
Need a motion and a second to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry for the wait, guys. It was a long meeting.